What's going on, fellow gamblers? Welcome back to Straight Bet, and today is Tuesday, December 9th. In today's video, guys, I got 2 official plays, but also I am just going to do some overall game breakdowns, kind of breaking down the games in depth, giving leans, schemes, everything that I think is going to happen, because we do have some cup games, guys, right? So completely different than like a regular average Joe NBA slate where the Wizards are just, letting dudes drive by them left and right, giving up 140 points a game. This is like a playoff-like intensity game. So I will give some game breakdowns for that too. We did indeed have a positive day yesterday, so you know what that means. Frank White, shout out to you for commenting. Shout out to you for, giving the people a winning play too with that Reynaud look. And Frank, make sure to DM me on X at TyvanSB, and I will make sure to give you your 25 bucks. And once again, guys, to enter in the $25 giveaway, all we need to have is a positive day, and I'll give someone who comments, likes, and subscribe 25 bucks. So guys, make sure to do all 3 of those things to be entered in the giveaway. With that being said, guys, let's get into the quick recap of yesterday, and then we'll get into the picks and breakdowns. All right, guys, so had a cool little day yesterday. 3-1, 2-1, whatever you want to call it. Kind of had weird units on these plays. Colin Gillespie over 16.5 points. Pretty happy with that read. I think he shot like 6 for 15, 3 for 7 from deep. I think he had like 19 points or something like that. Played solid minutes. Yeah, so pretty happy with Gillespie there. Champagny, honestly, very, very happy with him. I think he might have gotten up 9 threes or so. Definitely started off hot. He cashed his ladder in the first quarter. But yeah, these Pelicans guys, they just give up a ton of catch and shoot stuff. So another one that I'm very happy with. And then I added late Stephon Castle. I put a half unit on him to hit 2 threes at plus 200. And he only shot 2. So I thought there was a chance that they just left Stephon Castle wide open. James Borrego has done that in the past with guys, and also just a great catch and shoot matchup. So maybe he gets like 4 or 5 up. But yeah, he got left open. I thought that was worth a stab, and that didn't come to fruition. But cool little plus 1.72 unit day. We will indeed take it. Okay, guys, first official play. We are starting off in the Heat versus the Magic game. I am going with Kel'el Ware under 8.5 rebounds. So look, guys. Kel'el Ware, he has the worst net rating on the Heat. I think Spo has shown time and time again that he really doesn't trust Kel'el Ware. So, look, guys, this is a very important game, right? It's a cup game. The closest thing you'll get in the regular season to playoffs outside of, stuff at the complete end of the year when they're really duking it out for, play-in seeding, playoff seeding, stuff like that. So, yeah, the Heat guys, they're at full strength right now. The only person who is questionable, there's a lot of guys who are probable, but there's the only guy who's questionable here in the rotation is going to be Drew Smith, a point guard that doesn't affect Kel'el Ware whatsoever. So with Hero, Powell, Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, with all those guys and Bam Adebayo, that's their starting lineup, right? Kel'el Ware has not started in any of those games that all those guys have been healthy in. Obviously, guys, Bam is the Heat's probably best player, most impactful player. And in a cup game, right, I would expect Bam to play 34 to 36 minutes. And guys, if they're not going to start together, I think there's going to be very minimal minute overlap, if any. So, right, if you get Bam playing 34 minutes, let's say, that leaves 14 minutes for Ware. And if they're not starting, let's just say that they have like a little bit of overlap maybe. I think I have Ware around 20 minutes. Obviously, guys, this isn't going to be like set in stone. Like this could be a pretty wide range of minutes. It could be like from 14 minutes to maybe 25 minutes or something like that. But if you do that exact filter, right, guys? So if you just go to Kel'el Ware and do all time, go to advanced filters, minutes, and let's just do 15 to 25 minutes all time with Kel'el Ware. And as you can see, guys, 15 to, he doesn't exactly do too well with 15 to 25 minutes. As you can see here, the sample size isn't like a ton of 14-minute games either. You can look down here, average minutes in the sample is going to be 20.1. He's averaging 7.3 rebounds in this sample size. And guys, you can hover over the Magic too, just to gauge the matchup. Magic are a pretty solid rebounding team. They're allowing the 9th fewest rebounds on the year. Also, guys, you got the individual matchup, right? So he's going to be playing backup center minutes for the most part, meaning he's probably going to be going up against Goga Bitadze a little bit. I will say, guys, Goga Bitadze, it's not like he's like a stretch big, high usage guy or anything, but he is a very solid rebounder. He's a big body. He's not someone that Kel'el Ware is just going to have his way with on the glass. So I think that this is a slightly below average matchup for Kel'el Ware. And honestly, guys, like I said, this is a minutes play. I think that, if you want to go ahead and do Kel'el Ware, under points, rebounds, and assists at 16.5, I don't know why there isn't points, rebounds lines up. Looks like there's one at Australian FanDuel, but that's about it. So yeah, I think that the combos are good too, because if you do 15 to 25 minutes with the PRA line, I bet it's probably not great either. is a little bit better for sure than just the rebound. So yeah, and that's kind of like why I went rebounds too, right? Hit rate just is not great with just rebounds. But yeah, honestly, guys, I'm kind of in on all Ware stuff. Like I said, man, this dude does have the worst net rating on the Heat. I think he's like kind of prone to like clumsy mistakes, to, you know, sometimes he's just not engaged. And if anything like that happens, like the minutes are going to be terrible. So he's going to have to really earn his minutes here, man. He's really going to have to play good to get his minutes. And, you know, I'm going to take a stab that, you know, more times than not, he's going to be around like 16 to 20 minutes than he is 22 to 25. So, yep, going with Ware under 8.5 rebounds for the first official play. Okay, guys, second official play, and this one definitely got a little bit of line movement for sure, but I think that the you know, alternatives are fine here with like a PRA pivot or just taking the 18.5. So, guys, I'm going here with Jakob Poeltl of the Raptors over 17.5 points and rebounds. Like I said, 18.5 PR. I think it's totally fine. 20.5 PRA. I also think it's totally fine. So, look, man, if you look at like this year, it really hasn't been too pretty. He's had a lot of like really poor minute games in here. If you just go to like 22 plus minutes, obviously it starts to get a lot better. 24 plus gets better. 26 plus looks really good. So why am I on Poeltl here? Because honestly, I'm just going to be completely honest here. I don't think like the PR per minute stuff is really good, although I am going to make a case for some rebound stuff at least. So look, I think that against the Knicks, right, a team that has Mitchell Robinson, Karl Anthony Towns, very, very, you know, big team, good rebounding team, etc., good offensive team, which is maybe the most important thing out of this. I think that Jakob has to play some additional minutes. So he's had some like minute limit games with injury. He's had some like weird, just like a lot of like weird games this year, man. But I do think that he's needed here for minutes against a team with Cat and Mitch. Their backup center is Sandro Mamukavishvili, who, you know, fun player and stuff. I think that he's pretty, you know, a pretty good offensive player and all that, but he's got to be one of the worst defenders. Like he can't anchor a defense whatsoever. He can't protect the rim at all. I don't think he can, you know, do anything with Cat or Mitch or anything like that. So I just think that this is a spot where you need Poeltl to play a little bit. So like I said, guys, he's had a lot of minute restriction games. I think he's had an injury game, some blowout games. He's averaging 26.2 minutes. I am giving him a minute bump along with, like, obviously it's a cup game too. So, you know, you kind of tend to give like your starters a slight minute bump in that case anyways. So guys, I do have Poeltl playing between 20. I do have him at 28 minutes. And if you just do with 26 to 30 minutes, right? This year, obviously really good. But if you go to like all time too, because he's playing the same role this entire time, right? This is him with 26 to 30 minutes, man, averaging 21.9 PR over an 82.5 or 82.5, over an 82.5% of games. So look, and like I said, if you take the bump at 18.5, you're still getting a really solid hit rate. If you do PRA, you're still getting a very, very solid hit rate. So I think that PRA at 20.5 is also very valid. And the same with 18.5 points and rebounds. So yeah, look, man, I just think that this line's too low for the minutes that I project him. I'm not going to like go too in depth into it. I will say I'm going to quick make a case for some good rebound stuff though. Because like I said, the Knicks, and we'll break this all down in like the actual game breakdown. But I think that there is a chance that you put Scotty Barnes on Cat, and then you have Poeltl kind of just playing as a roamer off Josh Hart. We've seen teams do that cross-match stuff all the time. Scotty Barnes is like a perfect person to guard Cat, first of all. Poeltl, you can, you know, really use his rim protection. I think he could maybe get exposed by Cat a little bit, just as like, you know, not the most like mobile and fluent big out there. So I do think that there's a decent chance that you get Scotty Barnes guarding Cat, and then Poeltl just roaming off of Hart, which would obviously be like pretty good for rebounds, right? If like Josh Hart's kind of just camped in the corner, or and you're kind of just like by the paint, you're not really worried about playing defense. You're just kind of in weak side. I think that could be the case for like a really solid rebounding game for Jakob Poeltl. And then I will say on offense, man, it's like, yeah, the Knicks are good at, you know, they don't want to allow stuff in the paint. They like to funnel stuff to the perimeter. But with that being said, you know, Cat will be his like primary defender, right? Who just like is not a very, very good defender, right? So yeah, I don't think the matchup is great for a PR per minute stuff, but also like, especially if you get the roaming aspect, I think you could maybe have a pretty good rebounding game. But yeah, like I said, just like I think that this is a good minute spot for Poeltl. And if that's the case, you know, and he gets 28 minutes, gets 30 minutes, you know, I like our chances at this line. So, breaking down the Heat Magic stuff, obviously, let's, you know, shout out the obvious here. Desmond Bane versus Desmond Bane. Franz Wagner is out for the Magic. Paul Banchero is currently on a minute restriction to an extent, right? Plays 20 minutes, 24 minutes. I believe he's coming off of a groin injury, so a soft tissue, lower body one. is one that minute restrictions tend to be a little bit sticky with. With that being said, obviously, like no Franz is going to just naturally want to boost his minutes, but also cup game. I think you can confidently probably project Paolo for like 28 minutes here. And guys, his usage without Franz will be pretty damn big. I will say, guys, the Heat have been kind of weird. So like historically under Spo, right, when they have Bam at the center, they're completely shutting down the pick and roll. They're kind of leaking spot ups and stuff like that. Really hasn't been the case this year. It's also, there've been a lot of like moving parts and stuff like that. I will say, when you look at like the primary defenders for Paolo, right, you're going to have like, I mean, you look at like the point of attack in this lineup. First of all, you got Hero, Powell, not great. Wiggins, who I think is pretty good, but and I think Wiggins is definitely going to be who guards Paolo. I think that Wiggins is kind of like too skinny for Paolo. You know, I think that's someone who, you know, his line is pretty low to begin with, and he's been playing very, very good this year. He actually leads the Heat in net, I believe. Jaime Jaquez is a little bit intriguing to me. I think that he actually like makes like a ton of sense to guard Paolo. And I know, like, you know, with Hero in, with Paolo in, his usage is definitely going to be lower. But at the end of the day, it's a Magic, right? We know how they defend. They like to take away the three-point line. If you get a little bit of usage and you're going at them, you're going to be able to find success. I do think that this is a solid matchup for Jaime, not only to play minutes due to defense, but also like to score the rock. So I do kind of have some like strong leans on Jaime. Of course, guys, like I said, if you get usage against the Magic, you're probably going to do good. You could actually maybe make an argument that Wiggins unders are a little bit intriguing. You're going to have Powell and Hero playing, and obviously, yes, he did have some pretty good games. But I think that he is kind of more of like a lower usage spot up guy with those guys in, you know. And also, if you make the case that like Jaime matches up better with Paolo just due to like pure strength and stuff like that, I think you could maybe sell yourself on some Wiggins under stuff. So yeah, and then obviously, guys, you got some like weird injury stuff going on with Hero. I think he had like a toe injury. He's probable here. I don't know how I feel about Hero here. I think that if I wanted to bet over on someone, I'd probably go Powell over Tyler Hero. So yeah, like I said, guys, Kel'el Ware is someone on the Heat who I do think is at risk to lose a couple minutes here. I think that he's like just, you know, not a consistent enough player, not a trustworthy enough player. So yeah, on the Magic side, you're going to get likely in the starting lineup Suggs, Bane, Da Silva, who didn't play a lot of second half minutes when Franz went out, but he did get the start over Franz. And obviously Da Silva was the guy who slotted in the starting lineup for Banchero as well. And then probably you're going to get obviously like Paolo and then Wendell Carter. Off the bench, Anthony Black's going to play pretty good minutes. You're going to have Goga Bitadze playing the non-Carter minutes. Tyus Jones, sneaky, played 8 second half minutes, you know, without Franz. Probably see a little bit of Jonathan Isaac in there here and there. But yeah, guys, I do expect these Magic guys to play pretty damn big minutes. I mean, Jamal Mosley has played these guys pretty big minutes to begin with in the first place. I will say Heat's defense has been really, really good. They're 5th in defensive rating. Like I said, man, they're going to play at a pretty fast-paced, but I really don't know exactly what to expect. I don't think Desmond Bane is really just walking into threes in the pick and roll or walking into stuff out in the pick and roll. Like I said, one big thing here too, guys, is like when Ware starts, like their pick and roll defense is dog shit because he's like the one defending it, you know. But when it's Bam starting, then their pick and roll defense is very, very good. So Wendell Carter seems a little bit high. I gotta say, he's coming off a game with 7 points against the Heat, only took 5 shots. Just anytime you're matched up with Bam as your primary, that's very, very tough. Like I said, Bam just is a very, very good team defender, very, very good individual defender. So Bam or Carter seems a little bit high to me at 11.5, I will say. Moving over to Knicks and Raptors. So guys, one of my very strong leans, and I think that this person has a brutal matchup right here. Brandon Ingram, and especially, guys, I'm kind of waiting to see if this goes up to 23.5. But Brandon Ingram, guys, I think that he has a terrible matchup. So how I expect these teams to match up, it's going to be Mikal Bridges on Emmanuel Quickley, which I don't think is great for Quickley. It's going to be OG Anunoby on Brandon Ingram, which I think is like brutal. Because I don't know if you guys have seen Brandon Ingram, but OG and someone with OG's like strength and low center of gravity is like not going to be able to let him get to his spots easily at all. And on top of that, too, guys, if you look at like the Knicks defense, right, like the mid-range area is like cooked. Like they are a very heavy gaps team. As you can see, they kind of leak spot ups. They leak like catch and shoot threes and things to that extent. So I think that schematically, this is brutal for Ingram. I also think that like individually, OG Anunoby is also brutal for him. I really, really like this under. I will say 22.5, like without RJ Barrett. I know he's had a couple like poor games in here. The hit rate stuff isn't great. His volume and his like per 36 minute stuff with Barrett off is pretty good. And that's kind of why I'm waiting to see if it goes up to 23.5. But yeah, I think that this is like absolutely brutal for Ingram. And then, like I said, so same with like Scotty Barnes, right? He had a pretty good game. I will say, guys, he did have 7 3-pointers attempted, 4 3-pointers made against the Knicks. Obviously, like I said, guys, the Knicks are like a pretty significant 3-point funnel, right? They're gonna, like I said, help on those gaps on drives and not allow a ton of mid-range stuff, not allow a ton of paint stuff, but they'll leave the threes open. So if Scotty Barnes gets to his points, I think a lot of it's going to have to come from behind the arc. So if you guys like lean over on 20.5 points, I do think that his threes might be the better option, especially like at these plus 130 numbers from deep. I think that makes a ton of sense. Like I said, he did hit, I think I went back and watched this stuff for Scotty, and he did, I think, hit his first 4 threes. So that's going to contribute to good volume, right? Because you're feeling it. You're letting it rip, especially when you're like a fringe 3-point shooter like Scotty Barnes. Emmanuel quickly, I think his threes are a tad bit intriguing. He did get up 10 against the Knicks. Like I said, he's not going to get much through the pick and roll. They don't play drop coverage anymore. They're actually kind of playing aggressive. But still, there's guys like Ingram. There's guys like Scotty Barnes, of course, that have some gravity, that drive a lot, that will be able to get some kick out threes going. So yeah, quickly does spot up a decent amount. And I do think his threes are a little bit intriguing, of course. I don't think I'd play his points, though. Obviously, you got a little narrative going on, right? Quickly back against the Knicks. Maybe he's like up for this one. Minutes obviously should be good. Like I said, guys, I already made my case on Poeltl. I think that the Mamu defense might be kind of gross. So if I'm right on the minutes here, and like Mamu isn't playing like massive minutes, like you do like 15 to 23 minutes, you can see he goes under more than he doesn't. His minutes also should align a lot with Mitchell Robinson's, right? Which is like brutal for rebounding, right? He's probably the best top 2 rebounder in the league. He just absolutely dominates the glass in his minutes. So really do like Mamu under 4.5 rebounds. Like I said, it's kind of a weird one, but this is just like a brutal one. And if you even do this, like opponent rebounds allowed, and you like filter to the bottom half of the league in the sample, it looks pretty good, man. Only averaging 2.8 rebounds compared to like the 4 point or 3.9, I think it was before. Guys, another one who's a little bit intriguing to me on the Raptors side is Jamal Shed. Obviously, he's going to act as a spot-up guy a decent amount. I will say, guys, like I said, you want to target these spot-up guys against the Knicks. It's just really hard to choose who, right? Because you can make a case like I said, I'm kind of low on Sandro's minutes here. Jakob Poeltl is like a guy who his minutes are going to go based off of like how he plays, right? Like as you can see, 12 minutes last game. Jamal Shed, I do think is safe. I will say though, guys, he popped up with a quad contusion, and I've actually had a quad contusion before. I don't know if anyone else has gotten kneed in the quad before, but like, dude, it's like hard to like walk with that. So I don't know, man. Like this is like a new injury. So I wonder if he even plays, to be honest with you. Ochai, like he did play good minutes, but like he was playing 12 minutes before and stuff. Ochai is a guy who definitely makes sense. Like if you could guarantee me that Ochai gets, and I know it hasn't been good this year at all, but if you could like guarantee me that Ochai's seeing like 20 minutes or something, I think that like his threes make a decent amount of sense. But like I said, you can't guarantee that. So I think the Raptors stuff is like kind of tough to get a gauge on. Like you know how the Knicks are going to defend, but it's just kind of hard to pick who's who. Like I said, if you could guarantee, if Shed was healthy, I'd probably like this a little bit. I think that like maybe even like I don't know if I love this number, but like him to hit 2 threes is a little bit intriguing. Maybe if you guys have like a 3-pointer attempt line on Shed, like a 2.5. I think that could make a little bit of sense too. On the Knicks side of things, so this is pretty interesting because the Knicks bench is like really shallow here. Cat's questionable with a calf. He practiced in full. I definitely think he plays, but it's also like kind of nervous that he did miss a game with a calf injury, right? And it's like it wasn't against like a bummy team either. It was against the Magic. So I think that was probably a legit injury. So Cat does scare me a little bit with his calf. I don't know if he's for sure going to play massive minutes. That's just something that like I'm just cautious of like all these like calf injuries and stuff with how the NBA has been trending. But with that being said, they are down Deuce McBride. They're still down Landry Shaman. So guys, their bench is, if Cat plays, is going to be Mitchell Robinson, Jordan Clarkson, Yabusele, Kolek. Guys, I think that, like, I don't know who's really trusted, right? Like, obviously, like Clarkson is a fine player, but he has massive flaws defensively. Kolek, I don't think he's trusted. Yabusele has played really, really bad this year, and I don't really see the point of him playing much, especially if they have Cat and Mitch playing. So I'm not saying that they're going to run a 7-man rotation, but like outside of like Clarkson and Mitch, like I wonder if the Knicks really do like give their starters really big minutes, because Mike Brown's done that in the past, guys, too. He's really done that in the past with his Kings and stuff. Obviously, you got OG, who, guys, by the way, his 28 minutes is a little bit misleading. He did play 17 second half minutes. He got into pretty early foul trouble in the first. So I do think that OG is a little bit interesting. If you look at like the Raptors, you know, they're a pretty aggressive defense. They do leak a lot of spot up stuff, and I do think that does continue, especially when you got a big time player like Jalen Brunson playing. So definitely think it's a good matchup for the spot up guys here, like the OGs, the Bridges, the Harts, etc. But yeah, I think that OG is pretty intriguing, right? If you do like games with Cat and Brunson, he's looking pretty good here. On 32.8 minutes, he's at 24.2 PRA. Do think it's a pretty good PRA per minute spot. So I think OG is a little intriguing. Of course, like the minutes are dicey. I will say though, he did, like I said, he got into foul trouble. He did play 17 second half. It is his third game back and a cup game. So I'd probably have OG at like 30 or 32. Personally, maybe like 31 is a solid projection here for him. So I think OG makes a fair bit of sense. Mikal's someone who, obviously, he's an Iron Man. He can play massive minutes. So if you do like games with Cat and Brunson, and you do like, I think that Mikal is someone who's going to play really big minutes. If you do like 30 to 40 minutes for Mikal, you can see he's averaging 27.3 PRA. Mikal's just like a weird guy to bet on, man. I feel like I never win when I bet on him. So I'd be lying if that was like in the back of my head when, you know, I was thinking about betting on him. But I do think it's a solid matchup for him. I do think he's a prime candidate to, you know, see really big minutes. Another person who's a little bit intriguing, like Josh Hart stuff. So guys, I don't like this price whatsoever. Like we're getting like barely plus money on Josh to hit 2 threes. Like, I don't know. But I do think, like I said, with the Poeltl at the start, I think there's a decent chance. Obviously, guys, you know, it's like a lot of game planning is going to go into this game, and Josh Hart's totally someone you're fine with shooting a lot of threes. So I think it's a little bit intriguing, and especially if Poeltl guards him, then, you know, then he'll definitely be like wide the hell open from deep. So I think he's a little bit interesting. He's obviously probably going to play pretty big minutes. I will say sometimes Josh can like really, like if he's not hitting his threes, I wonder if they pivot to like Clarkson or someone, or maybe like double big with Cat and Mitch. So that's just like a little bit intriguing, guys. And Mitchell Robinson, I think, is also really interesting. So I was looking at his 3.5 points. And he had a monster rebounding game. So Poeltl didn't play in this game. And that's another reason why I kind of think that Poeltl has to play, right? Poeltl didn't play in this game. Mitchell Robinson, 15 rebounds in 17 minutes, which is insane. So, like I said, Mamu cannot keep this dude off the glass. And honestly, he's going to come off the bench and, you know, probably be matched up with Mamu again. But with that being said, guys, playoff-like feel game. We saw what the Celtics did to Mitch in the playoffs this year, guys. Mitch is shooting like terrible percentage from the free throw line this year. Like it's actually like really, really bad. So I think he might be like lower than 25%. And I'm not even kidding with that. So I think that like on like the soft books, guys, something that I'm probably going to be on is Mitch over 0.5 free throw attempts. Because I do think that it just makes sense to put him to the stripe, bro. He's shooting so damn bad, especially if he's crushing you on the glass, which I fully expect to happen. I think we see some hack a Mitch here in like a high leverage game like this. I mean, he's going to have to prove it that he can make free throws. That's an easy way to get him off the floor too, if it's like getting really, really bad and he's like 2 for 8 or something. So yeah, Mitch points are a little bit intriguing, right? Because you might get that hack a Mitch stuff. You know, the Raptors have given up a decent amount of points in the restricted area this year, and we just saw him absolutely crush on the offensive glass, right? And you know, he didn't have a good scoring game against the Raptors. He did shoot like 1 for 4, 0 for 2, so bad variance. I absolutely should have had 4 points in this one. But yeah, I think that Mitch at 3.5 points is a little bit intriguing. I didn't play it, but I do think it's a tad bit intriguing here. All right, guys, as always, I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. I will be live tonight at around maybe a little bit earlier than 6, because I believe that the game starts pretty early tonight because we got 2 East Coast games. So yeah, probably be live actually around like 5:30ish with Ozbets Liam. If you guys probably know who he is. But we're going to be getting his opinion on these games too. It should be a lot of fun. Make sure to tune in and, of course, like ask as many questions as you guys want. So I will obviously like tweet out when we'll be live. I will post on like YouTube when I will be live. But with that being said, guys, let me know what you guys thought down below about the breakdowns. As always, make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to enter yourself in that giveaway. And I will catch you guys tonight.